Rights of data subjects. The GDPR is not a revolution as far as natural persons' rights are concerned. Some rights were added, like the right to data portability, but most already existed. We will not go into excessive detail about these rights in this introduction, but we remind you that there are 8 fundamental rights. The first right is the right to information and communication regarding the personal data on a natural person held by an organization. Data conditions have been tackled in the previous topic. We will simply add that obtaining such information is virtually free, unless requests are obviously groundless or excessive. The second right is the right to access and copy. This right allows a data subject to access the personal data processed by the organization. It also allows the data subject to get a copy of such data in a format of his choosing. The third right is the right to rectify. It allows the data subject to ask for the rectification of inaccurate or incomplete data according to a procedure set up by the organization. The right to erasure or to be forgotten is the fourth right. The right to erasure allows the data subject to request the deletion of his data. This right is not guaranteed when an organization can justify the need to keep the data. For example, compliance with tax liability requires the organization to keep the data for a set duration. The right to restriction of processing is the fifth right, and it supplements the others. It allows the data subject to request that an organization restrict processing of his or her personal data when the accuracy of the data is challenged. Processing is suspended while the accuracy is checked. The processing is unlawful, and the data subject objects to the erasure of the personal data, but requests a restricted use instead. The organization no longer needs the personal data, but it is needed to allow the data subject to defend his rights. The data subject does not object to the processing. Processing is limited for the verification period during which the company determines if it has legitimate grounds that prevail over those of the data subject. The right to object to the processing of personal data is the sixth right. As its name indicates, it allows a data subject to object to the processing of his data in certain circumstances. For instance, a data subject can always object to the processing of his data for marketing purposes. The seventh right is the right to portability. It allows a data subject to ask for a copy of his or her personal data in a structured, commonly used and machine-readable format. This copy may then easily be transmitted to another controller. Note that data subjects may ask the controller to directly transfer their data to another controller. For instance, when you change to a different phone service provider, you may request the transfer of your data to the other provider. The last right allows a natural person not to be subject to automated decision-making, including profiling, when this decision produces legal effects concerning him, or similarly affecting him significantly. Let's quickly dissect this. An automated decision is a decision processed without any human intervention. A legal effect, for a natural person, is an effect that directly affects a natural person's rights, like, for instance, the cancellation of a contract. For significant effects, the European legislator wanted to protect natural persons against situations that do not change their rights, but affect them significantly. It is considered that if any automated decision is as important as an automated decision with legal effect, it affects the natural person similarly.